Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. We are going to do a live stream. So let me just post this in a couple different places and then we'll jump in. How's everyone doing? Okay. All right, so we're just pulling up. We're pulling up the charts. Probably not going to go live for too terribly long, but we just wanted to hop on here, see what's going on. Bitcoin has pulled back slightly. I know it's awful, but yeah, it has pulled back to the price it was 2 days ago. So we're currently at 55.6. Now, some things to consider um, in this type of environment are, let's see, let me just check the comments. Guys, I get everyone. I get everyone talking about market manipulation and whatnot. People are screaming market manipulation. Hundreds of years before we were around. It's a market. Okay, it's a market, and people play the markets. You can call it what you want, but at the end of the day, it's a market, and I think we just need to leave it at that. Um, so, so Bitcoin is at 55.6. Now, what I'm kind of looking for here is we said before, if you guys remember, in January, anyways, we had this sort of move here, okay, and these sort of moves are, of course, reasonable for bull markets. Okay, we're gonna have these types of moves. It's not necessarily anything to get out of bed for. So far, we have not had this. Okay, so far this is just one red candle. But what I would say is a lot of times, as we've discussed, a lot of times for alt season to really get kicked off, you have to have Bitcoin pullbacks, because if you don't have Bitcoin pullbacks and you just go up like this, then you're probably not getting any major alt season. Now, one of the things that we said was that if it does pull back, if Bitcoin does pull back, which a lot of times is a prerequisite for an alt season. Okay, so a lot of times it's a prerequisite. If it does pull back, a lot of altcoins will have knee-jerk reactions to Bitcoin. It's really similar to what happened over here, right? I mean, like when Bitcoin pulled back here, it was a pretty nasty correction that started on January 8th and lasted, we had our local bottom on January 11th. What was Ethereum doing between January 8th and January 11th? Let's go take a look. So, January 8th, Ethereum went down, but then it started going back up, and then it capitulated on the 11th, and then started moving up relatively quickly. So, what did we see happen? Ethereum had a nice little correction, a 31% correction, in fact. It went from 1357 down to 929 at the bottom of the wick or so. So about a 32% correction during that move. However, it only took it about a week to completely recover and start putting in new highs, new local tops. So remember, a lot of times, if you get a Bitcoin correction, we're at 555. A lot of times, if you get a Bitcoin correction, the rest of the market will have a stronger reaction because it's fearful of a larger Bitcoin correction. Okay, and what you have to wait for, you're sort of playing the game. if you have altcoins, you're basically hoping you're basically hoping that it doesn't dump all the way to, say, the 20-week. Okay, so this is essentially what you're hoping for. So let's take a look here. So the 20-week right now for Bitcoin is at 28,389, and the 21-week EMA is at 31,757. So if you hold positions in, say, altcoins, one of the things that can often lead to alt mania are these Bitcoin moves. Okay, and during these weeks where it's heading down, there's a lot of altcoins that are playing catch up. Right, they're catching up to a lot of the Bitcoin mania that was going on through here. And then when Bitcoin finally cools off, a lot of altcoins will play catch up and actually outperform Bitcoin over a few week period of time. They'll drastically outperform it. So we know that reduced Bitcoin volatility is often a prerequisite for alt mania. Now, alt mania can also come on, or say any given day that Bitcoin's doing well, alts can rally, right? There's on several days, you might see an altcoin put in 10, 20% or something. But again, that's nothing to get out of bed for, right? That's not a sustained move. It's when you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation, as long as Bitcoin volatility stays high, whether it's to the upside or the downside, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is more likely to bleed. Okay? So we expect this. Okay? If Bitcoin has a nice little dump like it did at the beginning of January, which we don't even know if it's going to yet, but if it did, I would expect the Ether Bitcoin valuation to go down in the short term. That doesn't mean it can't have a very nice bounce back up, and then everyone looks back and say, who bought the dip? So what I'm looking for, or what you might want to look for and keep an eye on the market, a couple things. Okay, so the first thing is Bitcoin. This is just a daily candle, right? I mean, and we've had daily candles where we go down a little bit, right? I mean, look at this chart. This is the Bitcoin USD chart. We have a lot of green candles, but occasionally we put in a red candle. Okay, occasionally we put in a red candle, but it's more or less trending up. So the first option is Bitcoin goes back up tomorrow and starts putting in new all-time highs, and it goes to 60K this coming week, maybe higher, and everyone sings Kumbaya, and we wait till Altseason to start. That's number one. If number one happens, most alt Bitcoin valuations will bleed, but on any given day, some of them can rally. Like ADA USD can rally in a scenario where Bitcoin is, in a world where say Bitcoin is doing well and putting in new highs, ADA is one of these coins that can continue to rally. And DOT is another token. We've seen DOT move with Bitcoin many, many times. If you look at the DOT chart, I mean, that's one hell of a chart, is it not? This is from over here when we first got going. We're already up a modest 734% since December 11th. Okay? I'm not saying it's something to get out of bed for, but what I'm saying is, a lot of these coins are doing really, really well, but on any given day, it can be quite scary. So, the first option is Bitcoin just continues this move, and this is just one more red day out of many. In that world, most alts will bleed against Bitcoin, some will rally, Ether Bitcoin likely bleeds. Any given day it might do well, but it's likely going to bleed against Bitcoin. Okay, we expect this, and that's fine. We're essentially kicking the can down the road. I fully expect Ethereum to trend much higher than $2,000 this market cycle, but sometimes you just need to exercise patience, right? You just need patience. It's not always a bad idea to just take a break from crypto for a couple days, right? It'll be here when you get back. You don't need to necessarily watch every single move of every single day. Sometimes it can be somewhat relaxing to just take a day to do something else, right? Go do something else for a day and then come back. So the first move, we kind of know what to expect. Bitcoin continues to rally. maybe our favorite altcoins will get pulled up. Ether, Bitcoin will likely bleed. Most coins will likely bleed against Bitcoin, but do okay against USD. That's option 1. Option 2 is very bullish for altcoins. Option 2 would actually just be a go sideways. And I don't know how likely that would be. It probably somewhat depends on your definition of going sideways. But going sideways would also be really good for the altcoin market. However, we sometimes get that. Let me show you an example of a time where we got that, where we just kind of moved up and then went sideways and we had Altseason. Here's a great example of that. Bitcoin went up and then it went sideways. And for those who were in crypto during this period, let me know if you were in the comments. Okay, let's see who was in the crypto markets over here. If you remember this time, a lot of altcoins were going crazy. ADA put in a pretty crazy move. Link put in a pretty crazy move. A lot of random micro-cap coins that no one ever heard of but was being shilled by every YouTuber known to man because they were getting paid for it and not necessarily disclosing it. A lot of altcoins were rallying during this phase. But it did not come with a Bitcoin correction, right? I mean, we're not going to call a little day move here, a little playing in the sandbox type thing as a correction. This was Bitcoin moved up and then it went sideways. That's what it was, okay? And in that scenario, alts rallied. Okay, so that was a scenario where Bitcoin moved up and went sideways and alts rallied. Now, this is an example where Bitcoin went down and alts rallied. Okay, a great example of when Bitcoin went down and alts rallied, and it was pretty scary at times. Maybe on some of these wicks, didn't stop a lot of coins from rallying there. So, option 1, Bitcoin continues to move. Alts continue to do okay against USD, but they lose their valuations against Bitcoin. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat. Okay, so option 2 is it goes sideways and alts rally. Option 3 is the more painful option for alts, where Bitcoin corrects, but it doesn't go to, say, the 20-week. It does something like this, and alts rally. So that would be option 3. Now, a lot of times we'll get either option 2 or 3, and then the fourth option, right? I mean, it can go up, down, or sideways. This is why I started a YouTube channel, because I had that insight. If it goes down to the 20-week moving average, then alts are essentially not going to do well in that scenario. And that's why protecting yourself by having the majority of your crypto investment in Bitcoin is generally a good idea. It's not financial advice, of course, but it's generally a good idea. So those are the main options, right? And the reason we discuss the main options is because we know that it's going to go up, down, or sideways. But if the implication of any one of those is scary, then getting your portfolio in a position where you could handle any of those scenarios is ultimately how you will win the day in crypto. It's how you will survive when you consider all possibilities and you get your portfolio in a position where no matter what happens, you're fine with it, okay? If Bitcoin dumps down here, which I'm not saying it would right now, I mean, the momentum is definitely up, this would probably be a pretty big buying opportunity, okay? Otherwise, if it doesn't, then I'm hoping we get some nice altcoin moves here in the not so distant future. Remember, a lot of times it takes a little bit of a shakeout to get things moving, so don't be surprised if that happens. We said that, we say it all the time. Sometimes it takes a shakeout to get things moving in the altcoin market. So with that said, if we take a look, by the way, I thought this was interesting. I have to show it because it's been a long time coming. By the way, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Definitely hit the subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up. I don't know why we're putting in rookie numbers on the like to viewer ratio, like 1/10. 1/10 is pretty bad. We're at 1/10 on the like to viewer ratio. So make sure you guys get those thumbs ups going and subscribe to the channel. But anyways, this is actually pretty cool. Bitcoin hit the top regression band. Okay, it's a pretty cool thing. The last time we came into this was in December of 2017. We just hit it. If we zoom in, you can see, if we zoom all the way in, look at that beautiful wick that took us into the peak regression band. Pretty interesting move, right? Pretty cool to see that. Now, the reason why that's cool is because we were kind of dreaming of one day reaching that band back when we were over here. And we had a lot of debates, a lot of discussions with people who said we would never go back up here, and that ultimately, there was a lot of fear and stuff being propagated. People were saying we were just going to kind of dump back down and do something completely different. But in fact, what happened? We stayed the course, and we've moved up. Now, I will remind you, for those people who are getting stressed out looking at this chart, there's no guarantees that this peak regression band is ultimately the peak area for the price. Okay, this is only fit to 3 data points, 3 prior peaks. So it only has 3 data points. We cannot assume that a fit to 3 data points will necessarily be, exactly predictive of where the top will be. If the top is here, then, which I don't think the market cycle top is going to be at 56K, but if it is, then we have a 4th data point we can refit to. If the top is here, then we have a 4th data point that we can refit to. If the top is up here, then we have a 4th data point that we can refit to. So the peak regression band is more so to give us an idea of what are our theoretical targets when we're in this range. Now that we're approaching it, we have to be somewhat pragmatic about the fact that it's only fit 2-3 data points, so have some flexibility with it. Also, if we do come back down, I would like to think that this market cycle could go back up again, right? And not necessarily go back down to the bottom regression band, because as we showed with the video a couple days ago, I extensively showed why I don't think we're anywhere close to a market cycle peak, okay? It's possible that in the next few weeks we come up to a local peak where we cool off for a few months, but I don't think we're anywhere close to a market cycle peak. There's a big difference. There's a big distinguishing aspect there of a market cycle peak versus a local peak, right? I mean, if you look at 2013, this was a local peak, but this was the market cycle peak. So there's, I'm trying to differentiate between the two. So I don't think we're close to a market cycle peak, but things are getting pretty heated, so I don't think anyone's going to be that surprised if things cool down at some point in the next few weeks for a little while. However, what I've come to learn in the crypto space is that heading back down, if we do go back down, it's not something that really should be that scary, in my opinion. It should be, to me, it's not financial advice, but it should be treated as an opportunity. Okay, the people who are, say, up on ADA like 60x and stuff are the people buying the fear down here. They're not the people buying up here, right? I mean, so the smart money has to come in when people are fearful, not when people are greedy. And that's why we talk about managing risk on the channel all the time. So ideally for me, right, if I could have, if I got exactly what I wanted, which a lot of times I don't, but if I did, okay, let's live in a dream world where I did, what I would like to see, personally, would be for, whatever Bitcoin does in the short term, right, whether it has a little bit of a correction here or it continues higher and then maybe corrects for a little bit and we have a nice little alt season. I would love to see that, because then you can really, even those alt positions that you might have can even go up a lot higher. People are going to be feeling even more euphoric. And then you could take, if you already haven't, right, you could take even more altcoin profits out to USD, out to stablecoins, out to Bitcoin, out to Ethereum, depending on what your goals in the cryptocurrency space are. So I think we'll just take it one day at a time. We'll see what transpires here for Bitcoin and whether it can reduce down its volatility and pave the way for some other coins to move. Remember, a lot of times the way it reduces its volatility, you guys know, it has a little bit of a short-term correction. If it has a little bit of a short-term correction, altcoins will bleed more. If you look at the last move, we had 4 weeklies in a row that went up. So we had 1, 2, 3, and 4. This was 4 weekly candles in a row, just straight up. And then we had 2 down. And then so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 in a row again. We'll see if the next one brings us higher or if it bleeds back down a little. If it bleeds back down a little without having a capitulation, then alts should be back in business. So definitely keep an eye on that. If we take a measured move from this price move here to the top of this candle, it was a 100% move. And then if we take a price move from the bottom of this candle to the top, it was an 80% move. So they're fairly similar moves over so far, fairly similar time frames. If we were to experience a similar correction like we did over there, just going to weekly candles, not looking at wicks. We know the wick was down at around negative 31% from the local top, but let's say 16%. Where if it did emulate it could take it down to a $48,000 Bitcoin if we continue to say that pattern. But regardless, if that were to happen and it's a slow bleed, it would likely be good for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation and hopefully Ethereum USD. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's actually pull up the regression rainbow and see where we are on this. Looks like we made it to the next regression band here, right here. So it looks like we've made it there. This is also the same spot we kind of chilled out for a little bit there, chilled out for a little bit there. We haven't been at this regression band since April of 2018, so it's been a while. And the last time we were at this regression band, the price was 10,000. So it's amazing what 3 years will give you. Where the regression band at this point was 10,000. You fast forward about 3 years, now the same value at that regression band is around 60,000. So it's moved up 6x. So again, time is on our side, right? Time is on our side for Bitcoin because the regression bands are monotonically increasing. And while we may never go back to the peak regression bands that we've seen in prior cycles, if you guys know what I'm talking about, in the same way that the second cycle, this cycle peaked in this upper one, this one peaked in the purple one, this one in say this yellowish one here. We never go back to the same regression band from the prior cycle. Therefore, we were going 2.5 log lines down. You could already argue that's been broken this cycle, but I would not anticipate being able to make it back to this band because history definitively shows that we're not able to make it to the prior band of the prior cycle. Currently, the lower valuation on this band up here is already 100K. The upper one being 175K. I would be skeptical that we can make it, well, especially to the top of this band. I would be very skeptical even if we can make it to the bottom of it. Doesn't mean we can't make it to 100K. I do think that Bitcoin will trend to 100K this cycle. I really do. I think we will hit 6 figures this cycle. But it might take a little bit more time, right? I mean, if we do go up and then come down for a little while, maybe we eventually hit 100K, but it could correspond to the top of the gray band or something over here rather than pushing into the yellow band earlier on. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, again, I don't know exactly what will happen. I'm just trying to show you guys the charts and try to interpret them as best I can. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've actually been getting a lot of growth to the channel recently. I was actually fairly impressed by it, actually. We're at 135,000 subscribers, so let's go for 140. Why the hell not, right? So subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Also, we do have a Telegram channel with over 17,000 people. If you guys are looking to join it, I'll post it in the chat here. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, as another reminder, we do have the premium list. Let me see if I can find a link. How's everyone doing tonight, by the way? All right, I just posted the link to the premium list sale if you guys want to check it out. Yeah, I get that people are worried. You know, the thing with crypto, if you're new money, the thing with crypto is this is more or less par for the course, and the people that have been here for a long time, you sort of become battle hardened to it. Like you're just so used to seeing things fluctuate so much that it stops bothering you at some point because you just grow to appreciate the fact that it generally does trend up over the long term. And when you become the definitely when you become the smart money coming in over here, there's certainly a lot less to worry about when you get slight dips up here, right? There's, it's like, who cares? The problem is if you're coming in up here, then it gives you a whole lot more to worry about. So whatever happens in the next couple years, whatever happens, at some point in the next few years, we'll have another accumulation phase. We'll have another bear market likely at some point in the next few years. Stick around during that time. That's the time where the real money is made. So stick around then. And then just be patient. Wait for the pump to happen, because it will happen most likely. I mean, it's not financial advice, of course, but whenever the next bear market happens, whenever that is, stick around. Okay? Stick around. That's when the real money is made. Even though that's like definitely not the coolest time to stick around because you're watching prices drop. But whenever that happens, make sure you stick around. Just email me if you have questions about the premium list stuff. Can I link my Twitter? Yeah. If I can find it. Yeah, I do have a Twitter. If you guys want to see me just kind of screw around on Twitter, I'll link it in the comments if you guys want to follow me. Reach out through the website if you have questions. What do I do for a living? You're looking at it, man. I quit my job last month to do this full time. So, here I am. Crypto is one hell of a beast, that's for sure. Where is Ethereum in the regression band? Yeah, sure, we can take a look. Let's pull up the Ethereum regression rainbow and see where we are. So here we are. We're still well within the orange band. So let me pull it up on Kraken. So in order for us to reach the top of the orange band, we have to get to, close to $2,800 or so. So a $2,800 ether would get us to the top of this band. I worked in computational material science. What made me quit my job? Well, my channel was growing like crazy. So it seemed like a reasonable time to jump into this full time. So yeah, I do stake my ADA. How far out in months does the middle of the purple band put Ethereum to 10K? So you're talking about this one? Okay, I mean, probably a decent question. I mean, you know, in the same way that Bitcoin likely doesn't get to its prior peak regression bands, I imagine Ethereum will never make it to, say, this regression band, and probably not this one either. But it could definitely make it to this one. Right? I feel like it could definitely make it to the purple one this cycle. Note that the top of the purple one is at like 5K right now. But if you say kick the can down the road for a while, it'll trend up. I don't actually have it exactly on me exactly to know exactly how long it'll take, but my guess would be sometime in late 2022. Late 2022 is when the purple regression band for Ethereum could get to 10K. So maybe about like 16 months or something. Is there a correction coming soon? I mean, I don't know, maybe. How do people make money in bear markets? You just buy and you don't think about selling for a long time. If you guys who was around during the bear market, you know, you basically just tune out the bunny hills and the drops. You just basically what I did was I just threw money at crypto weekly for like 2.5 years, and you just more or less forget about it until you get a major move like this, and then you start to cash in. But this is it's certainly a long time. This is when people build. Okay, so a lot of the platforms you guys might be using today, maybe you're earning interest various places, whatever, or using really cool applications of crypto, whether it's in DeFi or whatever it may be. A lot of this is built out during the bear market, and then you reap the rewards of it during the bull. So you just keep that in mind. In a bear market, the idea is you just systematically DCA. You don't care about the price because it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what it is, because you're not buying Bitcoin at like 7K and then turn around and sell it at like 10K, right? You're not doing that. You're not buying it at 3K and then sell it at 6K. It's just accumulation, and then when this happens, you take advantage of it, right? That's the idea. I'm not saying that this is the top, by the way. I mean, I think that we will trend up much higher this market cycle, but we will have corrections along the way, right? We had a correction in January. We will have Bitcoin corrections along the way. And so far, we can hardly call this a correction. What are we down? We're down like $2,700 or so from the top. That's nothing. I'm not saying it can't drop more, but I mean, if you take a measured move here, this is only 3%. This is what scares me about these markets, is because everyone gets so up in arms when you have a 3% drop. It makes me worried for these people, because at some point you're going to have like a 40% drop. I don't know if it'll happen now or later, and then how do you deal with that if you can't manage a 3% drop? Hopefully I'm sort of hoping that Bitcoin volatility calms down for a while, whether it means pausing at 55K and going sideways, or pausing at 50K and going sideways, or pausing at 45K and going sideways. You know, any of those scenarios, you'll likely get altcoins to rally. You just have to get Bitcoin volatility to calm down first. Yeah, I mean, so the ADA Ether valuation is interesting because, you know, we've said before that if the market conditions exist to get it above this level, we actually had a wick above it already. what I hope to see with the ADA Ether valuation. I don't always get what I want, but sometimes I do, and when I do, I take advantage of it. And if ADA pumps up to this level against this Ether valuation, I probably would be taking some profits out to Ether, hoping that then an Ether move happens. This chair will be the death of you. Yeah, I haven't bought a new chair yet. Make sure you guys subscribe, by the way. Definitely subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. We have 135,000 subscribers. Let's get to 140,000. Everyone always, yeah, I don't know. All right, let me try to answer some questions. By the way, if we can, when I try to answer questions, don't ask me about like random altcoins that I never mention on the channel, because I'm probably just gonna ignore it, because I don't have time to look at like 100 different altcoins. If you have useful questions, I'll try to get to them, but I'm not playing the show me your altcoin game or anything like that. Will I review BCH? No. No, you cannot buy me a new chair. I'll buy one at some point. At some point when I get to 2,000 likes in a video while I'm streaming, I'll buy a new chair, but that hasn't happened in a long time. Someone says that they went from 100% Bitcoin to 90% Bitcoin and 10% Ethereum. Is that smart? Well, I mean, in terms of maximizing your risk-adjusted returns, it would certainly seem to make sense, right? I mean, if as we showed earlier, right, if this is your Sharpe ratio, and if you're trying to maximize your Sharpe ratio, then if you say have just Bitcoin and Ethereum, based on historical returns and historical volatility, the portfolio that maximizes your Sharpe ratio, which is your risk-adjusted returns, is 76% Bitcoin, 24% Ethereum. So in the short term, I cannot tell you if that's a good move. Over the long term, I think having, if you were at 100% Bitcoin and then now you're at 90% Bitcoin, 10% Ethereum, I think you've actually improved your risk-adjusted return. So I think that is a good move. It's not financial advice. It's just based on historical data, historical returns, and historical volatility. I would say I think that's a decent play. Do I think ADA has a chance to hit Bitcoin levels in the next 10 years? You mean by market cap? I don't know. I mean, honestly, I take it one market cycle at a time, right? Like, let me just make money one market cycle, and then I'll reevaluate the projects after. I don't really want to marry an altcoin. I mean, ADA is my primary hedge against Ethereum this market cycle, and so far, I'd say it's done one hell of a job, from 2 cents to over $1 in 11 months. I mean, I'll take that. But I mean, in terms to get to Bitcoin's valuation, it would need to go up another, I mean, it's already at what, 32 billion? So it'd need to go up another like 30x or something. That'd be a $30 ADA. A $30 ADA within 10 years, maybe. I mean, I don't think we're going to get close to a $30 ADA this market cycle. Maybe in 10 years if it stands the test of time. What do I think about Zane, says he's new to the channel? What do I think about DOT? So DOT is one of the main projects that I hold. The main five that I've always said, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. Those are the main five. I like betting on people, and Gavin Wood I think is someone worth betting on, as well as Charles Hoskinson. I think these two people are both good to bet on. So yes, I do have DOT. I think it's a good ecosystem. I'm staking it. I'm not even selling any DOT, right? I was accumulating it last year, and now I'm just staking it, let the money flow in. I don't care what the price does right now. I mean, if it goes up you know, if DOT continues to go parabolic for a couple more months or something, then maybe I'll take profits. But honestly, I really like having at least one coin that I don't sell ever, or at least for the duration of the cycle. And then at some point, hopefully, it's enough money to make a huge difference, and then you sell at that point. So yeah, I do believe in DOT. I was accumulating it at $3. You can go look at the videos on this channel when I said this is the accumulation phase for DOT between $3 and $6. We had like 2 or 3 videos saying that this is the accumulation phase. We'll probably look back and say, oh wow, what a great accumulation phase. Here we are. So I think we're just getting started with the market cycle. If you look at the DOT Bitcoin valuation, it really does look a lot like Ethereum's Bitcoin valuation when Ethereum launched, right? So look, Ethereum, this is DOT Bitcoin, this is Ethereum, gosh, this is Ethereum Bitcoin at launch. So you can see the similarities, right? Launch in August, down in Q4. For DOT, launch in August, down in Q4. For Ethereum, up in January to the prior local top. I mean, we should look at it on a daily time frame. So you can see here. Ethereum, up in January, hold resistance at the same level we were at before for a few weeks. What did DOT do? Did the same thing. Back up in January, holding resistance for a few weeks. And then it breaks through in February. Ethereum broke through in February. I feel like they're doing fairly similar things. And my general thinking on DOT is, so far, it's doing exactly what Ethereum did. And if there's a chance that it does this, I wanna be on board for that. That's why that's why we talk about DOT a decent amount. That's why I was accumulating it. How long is a market cycle? Well, I mean, it probably depends on who you ask and how they interpret it. I would say they vary significantly. But again, you're gonna get some pushback on my analysis on that, because I would say this first one was like 300 something days. This one was 700 something days. This one was like 1,000 days so far. This one has been 805 days, and I think this one's going to go on for a lot longer. I mean, of course, you might get corrections, right? I mean, you might get some corrections in here, but I think it's ultimately going to be a lot longer than the prior cycles. I mean, institutional money is not just going to stop coming in tomorrow or something, and then we're going to I don't think it's going to work like that. Looks like Bitcoin's having a little bit of a pullback here. Now it's back down to 55.3. So potentially one thing that could play out that we were talking about is if it does have a correction and then sort of rebounds, maybe we'll have like something like this again. I mean, I'm not saying it'll go down to this level, but whatever level it does go down to, maybe we'll see sort of a bounce back up from there. Do I think alts will drop if Bitcoin drops? Yes, of course. We've always said this. If Bitcoin drops, alts will drop. It's the risk. It's the risk, right? I mean, that's why I always say you should majority hold Bitcoin. The majority of your portfolio to help mitigate some of the downside risk is holding Bitcoin. Yes, if Bitcoin drops, alts will drop. If Bitcoin stabilizes here, then alts can rally. If Bitcoin drops to the 20-week moving average, then you might want to say a few words for your alt positions, because they're not going to be looking so good. Okay, if Bitcoin does something like this, your alt positions are going to take a hit. If you can live through that and then we just continue along the way and you don't need the money now, then who cares? Okay? This is why we say you need to consider risk when you talk about your portfolio investments or or what the allocations of various cryptocurrency portfolios. Was my sharp video about yearly returns or lifetime? That's a good question. It was yearly, so it was basically it was for yearly returns. Am I buying anything right now? No, I haven't been buying crypto since like the beginning of January. With USD, I haven't been buying crypto since the beginning of January. I have been accumulating it some because a lot of it's generating interest, so I've been getting crypto, but I haven't been buying it in a month and a half. What's the poster on my wall? It's like the space shuttle. How many years until USD is gone? Sorry, I'm not a doomsdayer. You're not gonna find that sensationalist stuff on this channel. Yeah, I mean, I think Ethereum can still have nice moves against Bitcoin, but we also said that a lot of times the Ethereum move will not happen until after a Bitcoin correction. This is a lot of times how it goes for Ethereum. You know, the major move in January happened after the correction. Okay, so if we do get an Ethereum move, like a nice major move of Ethereum against Bitcoin, then my guess is it would happen after a correction. It doesn't have to be after a correction, but a lot of times it's after a Bitcoin correction. Tell us a NASA story. Okay, so when I was there, I worked at NASA Johnson back in like 2011. When I was there, they told us this story about how like in the 60s, there was an intern that worked at the building that had the moon rocks, and he like legitimately just went in there during broad daylight and took a whole cabinet of them, and no one knew. Like he just literally walked out with them, and no one stopped him, and they caught him because they caught him because he tried selling them on like eBay or something. And obviously the government saw what was happening, and then they pretended to want to buy them, and then they busted them. But yeah, so that was a cool story. There was another story where like the director of command at Houston would like in the 60s. I don't know if it was the director or who it was, but they would like ride their horse up to the building every day, even though there were cars. But there was this one guy who would like ride his horse in the 60s. I don't know, some interesting stories. There was also another funny thing where someone asked someone how many languages they knew, or no, they said what languages do you know, and their response was like Python, C++, and I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, and that was actually what the person wanted to know. They actually wanted to know what computer languages the person knew. I was like, in most scenarios, if someone says what languages do you know, you're gonna think like say like Spanish or French, not C++ or Python. No, I haven't actually taken any profits from DOT, no. I actually don't. I don't invest in real estate. I might in the future, but the problem is that, I mean, first of all, if you invest in say REITs or something, they generally track the stock market but give you lower returns. So you're basically getting like the same level of volatility to some degree to the upside anyway, or you're not, no, I don't mean to say the same level of volatility. You're basically just tracking the S&P 500, except you're getting lower returns. So, REITs I don't think are, I mean, if you want diversification, right, and preservation of wealth, then yeah, certainly real estate I think is a good thing. And I know a lot of people would swear by having a lot of real estate properties, and I might get real estate properties at some point. But I also think there's a lot of nice things to just having your money in the market and never having to worry about tenants, never having to worry about fixing things or anything like that, especially since the market can give you a decent return as well. With that said, maybe I'll expand into real estate at some point. But I probably am not expanding into real estate anytime soon. At least not for a few more years. I don't want to necessarily say that because it's possible I buy some sooner, but and not this year for the most. I most likely won't be buying real estate this year. We did not hit 2,000 likes during the live stream last Friday. We did not. Maybe we did after the video ended, but we didn't while I was streaming because I made sure to log off before we got to 2,000 likes. A lot of people keep asking me about the inflow of Bitcoin to Gemini. And, like, who cares? Like, people buy and sell Bitcoin all the time. Like, I don't care if it's 26,000 Bitcoin. I mean, no, it's not that hard. If you want to fit the regression lines, all you got to do is just this equation, right? I mean, I'm not going to make a course on it. Just 10 AL of x minus b. I mean, just go put that equation in and fit the data. It's not that hard. I mean, honestly, like, the way the chat is freaking out, like, no wonder bear market sentiment is so bad. I mean, like, if people are freaking out over a 4% dip, imagine what would happen if it dipped 40% or something. People would be running for the hills probably. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you guys like the content. I mean, so far this is just business as usual. I mean, even if we get a 20 to 30% correction, it's still business as usual. It's not like I mean, a 30% correction would take us to 38. A 20% would take us to 44. 10% would take us to 50. Nothing too crazy. I mean, we have actually, I have a couple videos on ADA regression bands, but there's just not a whole lot of data, so I don't think they're that useful. What percentage of profits do I take? I follow a linear sell strategy, as I have some videos on it. So basically, I break it up, and for like Bitcoin, I would break it up into 15ths based on the risk band. So like between a risk level of say zero point 0.5 to 0.6, it might be 1/15th. A lot of the lower sells go to other coins like Ethereum because a lot of times Bitcoin will make the first move and then Ethereum will follow. And then from 0.6 to 0.7, I do like 2/15ths, and then so on and so forth. 3/15ths, 4/15ths, and 5/15ths, generally speaking, right? All the way up to say the 0.9 to 1 risk band. So that's generally what I do. That way, if the bubble only goes up to this level, at least you took some profits and you have something to look back on and say, oh, at least I took some profits. And then if it goes higher, you took even more profits. And if it goes higher, you took even more, and then higher even more, and then higher even more. The chat feels different today. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I mainly went with Bella, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link 8, and Dot. I think it's a pretty good portfolio. I mean, yeah, there's some other coin. I mean, I do have some small positions in other coins, but I think those 5 give you a fairly decent exposure on the crypto market. Hmm. I can't even read the chat. There's so many things flying by. But yeah, I mean, I would say let's keep an eye on Ethereum, Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin has a nice little dump, right? If Bitcoin has like a nice little dump like this, then Ether Bitcoin will likely capitulate, and that could help spur on a new move. Okay, this would be ideal. Uh, if the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation could definitively capitulate, then it might help encourage a fairly nice move back up to the upside for Ether USD. Make sure you guys subscribe. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Remember, we have the premium list sale. If you guys want to check that out, you can find it in the description below. I'll also post it in the chat. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the trading view indicators, and more. Also, remember, we have a Telegram channel with over 17,000 people. You guys can check that out. I also see a lot of people shilling me their garbage altcoins that no one cares about in the chat. So if you guys want to go talk about that, you can do it into the Crypto Cosm Telegram chat room. We have about 4,000 people there, so go shill it there, not here. All right, let's see what happens with Bitcoin. We're not going to stay on the stream too much longer, but again, these are perfectly normal, and it doesn't mean alts can't rally. You have to wait for Bitcoin volatility to calm down, whether it calms down at 55K, 53K, 51K, 49K, whatever it is, right? You just have to wait for the volatility to drop, and then altcoins can shine, as long as we don't dump to the 20-week. Yeah, you can pay with whatever crypto. All right. I don't hate altcoins. I have a lot of altcoins, but people. I keep seeing people talk about random ones I've never heard of before. And then I look, and then sometimes I look them up, and they're like number like 400 or something on CoinMarketCap. What do I think about a new all-time high in Litecoin? I mean, Litecoin will probably, I imagine it would probably put in a new all-time high this cycle, but I'm guessing that it will continue to underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum over the macro scale. Is my guess that Litecoin would continue to underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why did Bitcoin reach a peak in June 2011? Bear market, where all the rest are in December 2013, 2017. How is June 2011 a bear market? I don't. This doesn't make sense. June 2011. I mean, if you're talking about right here, this is not a bear market. This is a bull market. I don't understand why you're calling that a bear market. How can you look at a chart that has a move of 63,000% and call it a bear market? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why is ADA not bullish? It's pretty bullish to me. Honestly, like I've never seen the chat like this. Like I've never. It kind of worries me. I've never seen the chat like this. Everyone's like freaking out over a couple percentage drop. We had drops like this in the bear market all the time, and like no one really cared. I was just like, all right, whatever, buy more crypto. Now it's like you have a slight drop, and everyone's like really worried. Well, I think if there's anything that would help encourage me to take profits during another altcoin surge, it could be the sentiment from a couple percentage drop now. Anyways, remember, I mean, these markets are volatile, so we have to be pragmatic with our approach. This is why I get a lot of flack for it for not chasing Bitcoin pumps and scaling back my buys fairly early on. But it's basically so that I don't have to worry about little moves like this. Yeah, I mean, ADA. I feel like ADA still looks relatively bullish. I mean, it was less than $1. What, like a couple days ago? So ADA looks still. I mean, ADA still looks good to me. Well, sorry, I can't keep up with the chat. Ethereum's at 1871, so it's actually holding up relatively well, considering Bitcoin's drop, but. I'm trying to say something. I'm trying to read the comments, but my main cryptos are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. I also have a few others, but those are the majority positions. Yes, I don't go into the Cryptocosm channel that much, except to troll them sometimes and say Wind Moon. That's basically the only time I go there. I'll ask them why some random altcoin isn't mooning like they claimed it would. All right, well, I guess we could also quickly look at the extension from the 20-week. We haven't done that yet, so might as well. If we look at the extension from the 20-week moving average, so far, again, the same level. Basically, we've seen the same thing where we're not as far as extended as every prior move. So I'd say it's still relatively intact. Nothing major change there yet. Not a perfect fit by any means, but it's our extension from the 20-week moving average. Looks like Bitcoin's back at 56 here, so far so good. Update us on the ADA parabolic curve. I mean, I feel like it still looks pretty good. We haven't had any major moves to the down. I mean, we're still holding well above $1. I would say it's actually fairly impressive that ADA's holding above $1, despite the fact that Bitcoin just dropped like $2,500. ADA's holding up relatively well, considering how high it's moved in the last few days. Well, I mean, hopefully we covered some stuff that some people find useful. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the chat. Seems like there's a lot of questions that, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see where things go. I mean, again, if keep an eye on the 20-week because that's ultimately, hopefully, our support in a bull market. So, I mean, if we do get a major correction here, which there's no guarantee that we would, but if we got a major correction, then I would say keep an eye on the 20-week, which currently is at 28.4, and the 21-week EMA is at 31.8. That'd be where I'd be looking if we had a major correction. If it's not a major correction and we just sort of play in the sandbox for a little while, then alts will likely rally. Those are the two main options. Hopefully you're prepared for either one. I mean, I do think that this cycle is going to be a long one. I mean, we're probably going to have decent corrections along the way. It's nothing to necessarily get that worked up over. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys like that. I mean, I know that we're not maybe covering a lot on the live stream, but make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the Telegram channels as well. We also have the premium list altcoin season sale going on, so check that out as well in the description. Alright, should we wrap it up there? I mean, I feel like we should probably wrap it up. We've been going for a little over an hour, so we'll see if Ethereum can recover back to 2K and continue higher in the next few weeks, maybe, or if we get a major Bitcoin dip. Either way, I still think Ethereum will trend up much higher over the market cycle. So, all right, guys. I think why don't we wrap it up there? Make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.